Justice Hunters is finally out, and with it comes some very slight market changes. Hey guys, Otak here, back with another Market Watch, and yeah, Justice Hunters is finally out, and honestly, things are not quite what I was expecting in terms of value, especially out of Justice Hunters. Now, unsurprisingly, not a whole lot of cards have changed in value with the release of Justice Hunters, because a lot of like the cards that already pre-existed to prepare for the format have already gone up prior to the format because they were preparing for the format, and there's a small amount of cards that have gone up in price because of the new decks coming out. Before we do jump on into the Market Watch, though, I have noticed that a great deal of you that are watching this video right now are not subscribed to the channel. So if you like competitive-based content, in-depth guides, and more Market Watches, consider subscribing to the channel for more. But also, don't forget to leave a like on this video and comment down below what cards I should look at next week. And if you would like to further support the channel, consider joining my community Discord, following me over on Twitch, and using my TCG affiliate link and my Dueling Guard affiliate link. All links will be in the description down below. Alright, we're going to start with the brand new archetypes that just came out with K9, Dracotail, and Yummy. Now that the cards are officially out and pre-sale hype has kind of died down, we can kind of see where the cards are settling. Now, keep in mind, we haven't had any major events since the decks have released, so what you're looking at right now could change. It could either spike in price, it could continue to lower in price. I do think that, at least for a couple of these cards I'm about to mention, maybe not Ozuna, buying them now might be in your benefit, because I do think that a lot of these cards will actually go up in price, not only as the format starts to kind of be fleshed out, but also once we finally do get that Forbidden Limited list after Worlds, and, Rising and Malice wish their ways out the door, then these decks will be next in line ready to go. And so I do think picking up your next deck might be in your best interest, while it is as cheap as it is. We're going to start with probably the most expensive card and the chase card of Justice Hunters, and that is K9 Ozuna. K9 Ozuna is the only ultra rare K9 that matters. Lupus is obviously an ultra rare, and he's a one-of. He's just a card that gets dumped into the graveyard. But Ozuna, she's the 3-of, and she's the best card in K9. And sure enough, she's $40+. I think right now she's actually sitting at, about $40. And it also doesn't help that K9 is being played in easily the best deck in the format, which is K9 Vanquish Soul. So yeah, it's just no surprise that their only good ultra rare that's played at a 3-of is the most expensive card in the entire set. Now, that being said, you probably should, if you are looking to play K9 Vanquish Soul or just K9 Engine in general, now might be the time to pick this up, because when K9 starts to see some more wide range success at higher events like YCSs, hell, even Worlds, Regionals, this is probably going to go up. I do think that like the Justice Hunter cards are at an all-time low, and I think they are only going to go up as the decks see more success. Moving on to Dracotail. So we have Dracotail Phi-Mena, or Femena, as I've been calling her for the longest time, but they removed that Y. She is, again, another one of the ultra rares, and she's sitting at about $11, $12, maybe $13 a copy. The perks with Justice Hunters, and I do think this also contributes to why the cards are so cheap, is because almost every single one of the ultra rares and even some of the super rares got collector's rares and starlight rares. Like, I believe all the ultra rares have starlight rares, and some of the super rares got collector's rares along with the ultra rares that got collector's rares. So because that, there's so many different rarities getting printed in these higher rarity cards that, like, the ultra rares, the bare minimum at this point, they're kind of steadying out, because the money is where the starlights are. And then if you want like some mid-range, the collector rares, where that's at too. That being said, today we're just going to be looking at the bottom of the barrel. We're just going to be looking at the ultra rares. We're not going to be looking at the collector or the starlight rares, because those will probably start going up in price first. They're already somewhat up there. Like most of the starlights are about $80+ for any of the cards in the set. But on top of that, the set had 4 ultras a box, which means out of like one box, if you get really lucky, you can pull like almost your entire core out of a deck. 2 friends of mine bought a whole case of Justice Hunters, and they split a case, and each of them got a whole core of every single one of these decks out of just the 6 boxes they opened. So they have 1 core for each of these decks, and all they did was open 6 boxes. Like, Justice Hunters was incredibly generous with not only the ultra rares, but just the rarity spread in general for really making these cards affordable for the player. And Konami, like, you really do need to keep doing stuff like this. Like, it is perfectly fine to have your ultra rares cheat, because your whales, your Yu-Gi-Oh whales, will buy the Starlights. They will buy the collector rares. But definitely make it available for the players who are maybe more on a budget. I don't think there's anything particularly wrong with having these meta decks like fairly cheap. And I say cheap lightly because Yummy at the current moment is still $120 a core minimum, really, and we'll get into that in a minute. But even so, like, that's still a reasonable price for one of the best decks in the room. Kind of got off track here, but yeah, 5 mana is about $12, $13-ish on average. We're moving on to Lucaeus, which is kind of like, I believe, the chase for the Draco Tails, because this is like the best one. This is also like $8, $9. Moving on to Malulu, and this is also another $6, $7. And I believe all three of these are 3-ofs. I believe Malulu might be a 2-of. I don't fully remember. Don't quote me on that. I don't play the deck. But these are all very much like cards you're looking... If you're playing Draco Tail, you want to get your hands on these cards. And they're all still like really affordable. Like just a playset for all 3 of the cards I just mentioned, you're looking at about $80. That's really not that bad. And then we look at the Fusion Monster, Draco Tail Arthalion. I preferred the old name, but that's just me. And I believe this is a 2-of in the deck, and this is like another $6, $7. Like, that's not bad. So, like, for a whole, like, core of just the ultra rares of Draco Tail, because the super rares and rares are worth nothing, you're looking at under $100. That's really not that bad. And then we have Yummy Snatchy, which is typically a 3-of, but a lot of decks are cutting it down to 2, but I would still recommend picking up that 3rd copy. $10 a copy. That's $30 right there. Yummy Cupsy, again, another $10, another $30. We're up to $60 off of just 2 guys, 2 playsets. Looking at Cookie Yummy, which is, again, another $10. There's $90 right there. Lollipo Yummy, another $10. That's $120 for 4 playsets of basically the entire deck. Like, the rest of the deck is super rares or rares, depending on which one you want. So those aren't worth anything. So an entire Yummy core is like $120 retail, give or take. And you could probably get a good deal depending on the vendor for like $100. So for one of the best decks in the room, like Yummy is projected to be on par with like Raizu Mitsurugi, Malice, Vanquish Soul Canine. Like Yummy's projected to be able to keep up with those decks. $120 to do that isn't that bad. Now, yes, you can make the argument like, oh, well, Purge is like $50, $60. You don't have to play Purge. I'm seeing so much pure Yummy success off of like the regional split without running Purge. Like, you really don't need Purge. Yes, it can help, but it's not mandatory. Let's go ahead and move out of the Justice Hunter decks, though, and move into a deck that is affected by Justice Hunters, and that is Crystron. Now, Crystron, as we're looking at right here, is able to play level 5s, which means inherently they can play K9, and Crystron K9 is projected to also be a really good deck going into the next format. Crystron Sulfefnir is seeing some boosting in price. This is the super rare. It does have a common. The super rare is minimum like $3 from Galaxy Games, but as you can see, your 12 listings, there's not many left to give out, and the next lowest listing is $6. Now, I don't know how many copies of Sulfefnir you run. This is something that a well-trained Crystron player would know, so let me know in the comments down below. But yeah, if you don't have this card for whatever reason, which I feel like if you wanted to play Crystron, you would already have these cards because you've already been playing Crystron. But yeah, there's not very many left to go around. Well, boys, we're back. I projected this a little while back. I don't remember which Market Watch I talked about this in, but Ghost Reaper and Winter Cherries is jumping up in price again. So Ghost Reaper and Winter Cherries was like the discount Metaltronus when Metaltronus was really popular before it came out in its massive reprint in Stampede, I believe. And yeah, so Ghost Reaper and Winter Cherries was seeing some play to kind of banish out the detonator, but here we are again. Back at it again, because Ghost Reaper and Winter Cherries reveal Snatchy, banish all the Snatchy out of your opponent's extra deck. And here we are. The ultimate rare from the OTS 20 is back up to $11, $12. There are still plenty of listings, though. It is at 42 listings, so there's still plenty to go around. This is the one I have. I prefer Ultimate Rare over QCR. I think QCR looks tacky. I think Starlight looks tacky. If there is a Ultimate Rare or a CR, I'm grabbing that one over a QCR or a Starlight any day. And yeah, sure enough, this card is going up in price. But hold on, let's take a look at the QCR from the Bonanza of the OG art. Also going up in price. There's one $9 listing, and it's not even verified. So the lowest verified, 18 bucks, and 25 listings. It's getting bought up. As you can see here, there was 130 sold just in the last 3 months. If we look at the last month, 70 sold in the last month, most of which were as low as $7. The rest were as low as, or as high as $18. Yeah, we're getting up there in price. And now this does have an alt art in the QCR from the same set from Quarter Century Bonanza. And this is a little lower. I personally prefer the OG art, but the alt art is also pretty good looking. I think Ghost Reaper Winter Cherries is just a cool looking card regardless of the art. But yeah, 24 listings. It is also getting bought out quite a bit. There's only been 10 buys since the last month, but this is as low as 13 bucks. Again, this is kind of getting bought out. Now, do I think this is cope? A little bit, yeah. Every like format similar to the one we're in, like even like last format with, you know, Detonator getting put to 1, like we all kind of sat there and we're like, oh, Ghost Reaper's crazy because you just like reveal a guy and then like you banish it out of the, you know, extra deck, so then they don't have access to it anymore. But like I don't know, because like you could also reveal Ripper, right, and just like banish out Ripper from their extra deck as well. I think it's a little cope, one, because you have to see the card, so you know there's that, but also I don't know. Like, Yummy has ways to get those banished cards back. Like, the field spell can put back 2 banished monsters back into the deck. So, like, if they can get to the field spell without Snatchy, they can put the two Snatchies that you banished back into the extra deck. So that way they can still combo. But I don't know. I think this is a little cope. I would personally not recommend picking this up, if I have to be honest. I think people buying this are just kind of like looking for ways to easily not play the game. So they are going to jam 3 Winter Cherries in their side deck and take up 3 valuable slots of their side deck that they could otherwise fill with an actual valuable card that will still help them win those matchups. Speaking of cards that people are going to be siding so they can easily win the game without actually playing the game, Power Filter. How many times we gotta be here? Like, honestly, how many times do we gotta end up in this scenario? We did the same thing with fucking Snake Eye. Like, come on now. Here we are again. Power Filter. It's common and super rare printing are getting bought up once again, and sure enough, it's up to $7 regardless of the copy. Don't buy this card. Come on. Power Filter is, again, one of those cards you have to see it. And because you have to see it, you're probably siding 3 copies of it. Don't waste your side deck on this card. There are many ways to beat Yummy without this. And first off, Yummy kind of struggles going second to begin with, depending on the deck it's playing into. So putting Power Filter to make it so they just can't play at all, like that's just seems overkill. Very win more in my opinion. Not to mention, Yummy is starting to play like board breaker builds as well. So like Lightning Storm, Duster, okay, Power Filter, irrelevant at that point. So it's like, if you really want a way to beat Yummy, play a deck that can interact with them and keep them off bodies, which is a good majority of the current decks. Like, just play a deck that can interact with them. Simple as that. Keep them off bodies. They're not going to be able to establish a board to beat you. Dogmatica Punishment, the QCR, because every other rarity doesn't matter, because every other rarity is pretty cheap, but the QCR is the highest rarity, and Dogmatica did recently get a new Fleur de Lis revealed for, I believe, Doom of Dimensions, and it's good. It's really good. Once it's summoned, it can set a Dogmatica trap from deck, and that trap can be activated the turn it was set, which means that Fleur de Lis is, if it hits the board, is essentially like a board breaking strategy because it can set punishment, activate punishment, pop a card off the board. And 9 times out of 10, you're sending Intis, which means Intis will pop another card off the board. So, yeah, sure enough, the QCR is skyrocketing in price. This card is up to $15-ish, and it was before the reveal, like $7 a copy. So the reveal basically doubled its price. And as you can see here, it is starting to get bought out pretty quickly. Nightmare Apprentice. I have to admit when I was a little wrong, but at the same time, I was only a little wrong. So Nightmare Apprentice skyrocketed in price because the Heka Hands, as the archetype is getting called now, instead of like the Hecaton Shier or whatever. The English translation is Heka Hands. Sounds fucking stupid, but I digress. But Nightmare Apprentice, being able to easily get summoned and search a generic illusion monster in a deck where they're all illusions, Nightmare Apprentice skyrocketed in price. I don't remember saying this in the video, but I said this in my community Discord, that I feel like Nightmare Apprentice, what people were going to panic buy and be like, oh, we got to pick up this card because that deck is crazy. And then she was going to later be revealed as a reprint in the Nightmare Avengers or Revenger, whatever the set is called. I was a little wrong. She wasn't revealed for a reprint in that. She was revealed for a Starlight reprint in the Megatins that we get, I believe, end of September. So I was wrong on date. I was correct on a reprint. So she was up to, I think, like $40 to $50 when we last talked about her. This doesn't do her justice because, like I said, I'm pretty sure she was really high in price when we last talked about her. She's down to like $10. Like, this is the cheapest I think I've ever seen Nightmare Apprentice. Like, even on release of like Legacy of Destruction, she was like $30-ish, and then she kind of maintained that price for a hot minute because she was like, people were looking for value in Legacy of Destruction because there really wasn't any. Like, the chase cards in that set were the Verudris, which was like a $5 to $10 card depending on the format. They were relying off of like the Ubel cards. They were relying off of like Tempai, but Pydra was a super, and he for the longest time maintained like a $7 to $10 super rare. But the rest of the Tempai cards at the time were, you know, they're all low rarity, so there was no value in Legacy of Destruction. So vendors were looking for value, and so sure enough, they found it in the Nightmare Apprentice, and she maintained about $30 until that point. But she's down to like $10, and honestly, don't bother to even buy her at this because she's getting a Starlight. And if I had to guess, if the Starlights are anything like they were in the last Megatin where we got QCRs, I believe one QCR in every pack, then sure enough, like most of the QCRs in the Megatin from last year at the time were pretty cheap. Some of them are jumping in price, like Pankertops and Link Spider and Anima. They're kind of jumping in price, but they're jumping in price because it's been a minute since those tins have come out, and now there's a demand for them. But when the tins are getting blasted open by every member of the community, that will be the time to pick up your Starlights, regardless if it's Nightmare Apprentice or whatever card, because we get like Magnemite and Jerusalem as well in Starlight. That'll be the time to pick up those cards. So honestly, I would say if you just want like a Starlight of Nightmare Apprentice, just pick it up in the Megatins. Like, just wait. The Megatins come out before Nightmare Revengers, or again, whatever that set is called. And there's going to be plenty of opportunities to pick up this card. This card in the Secret Rare will continue to go down even after the reprint is officially released. So don't panic buy this card, honestly. Mole Charmy Perulia. Arguably the best Mole Charmy in the current format. So Perulia is good against the obvious contenders like Ryzeal. It can be pretty good against Malice since, you know, they summon from hand a couple of times now with like the March Hare and the backup and the Wizard. It can be good against Yummy if the Yummy player is not playing correctly, because Yummy can actually play around Perulia better than they can play around Fualos. Perulia is really good against like Vanquish Soul Canine, but the Vanquish Soul Canine can play on your turn, so they can just pass. They don't actually have to play into it. But Perulia, arguably the best Charmy in the current format. And because of that, it's like $60 minimum regardless of what rarity you buy it in. Like Perulia in the Ultra Rare from Maze of the Master is $65. The Secret Rare from Infinite Forbidden is $66. And then the CR is almost $100. And we're not even going to look at the QCR. I don't know what to recommend here. If you don't have Perulia, it's very obvious you do want to have one for the current format. Perulia does kind of feel like you need to have this card in the current format, but at the same time, we don't know if it's going to be in the tins yet. There's a lot of speculation on if it's going to be in the tins. So I can see an argument to tell people, oh, sell now, sell now. But the last thing you want to do is sell this card now with the expectation it's going to be in the mega tins. It doesn't get revealed for the mega tins, and all of a sudden these $60 price tags shoot up to like 80. Like, then you lose money, because then you're gonna have to buy them back, because you need them to play into a tournament. I'd say if you're gonna sell at your own risk. Sell with the expectation that you could possibly lose money. That being said, by the time I upload this video, knowing Konami, they've already revealed it's in the mega tins. So this might be irrelevant by the time this video goes up. So just take everything with a grain of salt in this scenario. And that's going to be it for today's Market Watch. Like I said, so because like Ryzeal and Malice are still very much in the format, we haven't gotten the Forbidden Limited list yet until after Worlds. The format hasn't changed a whole lot in any severe way. So there wasn't like a lot to talk about today because not a lot is changing. We have already seen plenty of cards getting bought out and skyrocketing in price because of demand, because people were preparing for the format. But now that the format's here, there's not really anything to prepare for at the moment. Like, yeah, we have like Doom of Dimension, but nothing's looking like super promising from that set, minus like the Justice Hunter support for that set, like K9 and the Yummy cards are insane. But the rest of the format, we've already been preparing for this. Like, prices have already been going up because of this. So now that we're here, it's like nothing's changing per se. But that being said, I do again think that if you don't already have a Justice Hunters archetype and you want to pick one up, pick it up now. I do think these cards are going to go up in price. I do think this is the lowest they are going to possibly be. Just by looking at Azuna, like, a lot of people could make the argument like, oh, the ultra rares will remain cheap because the collector rare and the starlight rares are existing, so those will be the ones to go up in price. But we're looking at Azuna right now, K9 Azuna, an ultra rare being at $40. So nothing is out of the window for the ultra rares to jump up in price. Now, I don't think all of them are going to ever be $40, but I do think they will double in price. Like, I can foresee the Yummy cards like getting to like back up to like the $20 mark if Yummy proceeds to see major success like it's expected to. But I do think if you want to play K9 or Dracotail or Yummy, pick these cards up now while they are at their cheapest. And that is it for today's Market Watch, though. So let me know what you all think down in the comment section below, and what cards should I take a look at next week's Market Watch. Don't forget to leave a like on this video, and if you're not already and you like competitive-based content, consider subscribing to the channel. But with that, I'll see you all in the next one. See ya.